On the far edge of a blue-white nebula, a small world named Luma waited for silence to end. Luma had once been a place of gardens and slow rivers and tall spire cities built from living crystal. Now it was a place of ash and watchful fear because a conqueror fleet had taken the sky and crushed the defense moons with ease. The invaders were known across many systems for their cold discipline, their habit of erasing any culture that refused their rule. They had landed in waves and set their banners on the tallest spires as a warning. The people of Luma were gentle by nature and had never built armies meant for long wars. Their shields had failed and their ships had been torn apart. Most of their leaders were taken and the rest hid among ruins. Every day more citizens were marched into camps to be used as labor or worse. The conquerors told them that no one would come to save them because no one ever did, yet far beyond the nebula, another species was listening. Earth had learned of the invasion through a network of traders and explorers who passed through human space. The stories that reached Earth spoke of cities burned and children taken. Human councils argued for only a short time before a quiet resolve spread through their halls. Earth had fought many wars and had learned the cost of standing aside. A fleet was assembled in silence. It did not carry banners or music. It carried soldiers in gray armor and ships packed with supplies. Among them was a captain named Alex, who had grown up hearing stories of lost worlds and brave rescues. He stood on the bridge of his carrier and looked at the stars with a steady calm. He knew that fear was part of any battle, but he also knew that humans had a habit of showing up when the universe least expected it. The journey through the nebula was harsh. Ion storms ripped at holes and strange gravity tides bent space in dangerous ways. Yet the fleet pressed on. Engineers worked without sleep, and pilots flew with steady hands. The goal was simple, which was to reach Luma before it was too late. On Luma, the conqueror commander named Ira watched the skies with boredom. Ira had overseen dozens of similar worlds, and none had ever received help. The local species always broke, and then the work of extraction began. Ira ordered more patrols, but not out of fear. It was only routine, then the sky changed. A ripple of light formed high above the clouds and grew into a wide circle. Sensors across the Conqueror fleet screamed warnings as unknown vessels began to drop through the rift. They were unlike anything the invaders had seen. Their hulls were dark and angular, and their engines burned with a fierce blue glow. Ira felt a rare flicker of doubt. No one was supposed to be here. Yet here they were. The human fleet emerged in perfect formation. Dozens of carriers and hundreds of smaller crafts spread across the sky like a storm of metal birds. Alex gave a simple order to all channels, which was to protect the people of Luma and drive out the invaders. The first human fighters dove toward the Conqueror's ships with impossible speed. Missiles and energy bolts filled the air. The invaders fired back, but their targeting systems struggled to keep up with the agile human craft. Explosions lit the clouds as several Conqueror cruisers were torn apart. On the ground, the people of Luma watched in shock. Many thought it was a trick or a final cruel illusion. But when burning wreckage began to fall from the sky, they knew it was real. Someone had come. Human dropships soon followed. They cut through the atmosphere and opened their bays above key cities. Soldiers in gray armor fell toward the ground in controlled arcs, using jets to guide their descent. To the Conquerors, it looked as if warriors were raining from the heavens. Alex led the first wave. His boots touched down in a ruined plaza where a group of Luma civilians were cornered by enemy troops. Without hesitation, his squad moved forward. Their weapons fired in precise bursts that disabled enemy armor and forced them back. Within moments, the plaza was secure. The Luma civilians stared in awe. The humans did not look like gods or monsters. They looked tired and determined. Alex knelt and spoke through a translator. He told them that Earth had come to help and that they were safe for now. Across the planet, similar scenes played out. Human squads freed camps and pushed back patrols. Medics treated the wounded and shared food. The Conqueror forces were stunned by the speed and coordination of the attack. They had expected a slow resistance, if any. Instead, they faced a full-scale assault from a species that refused to stay away. Ira tried to rally the fleet, but the human ships pressed closer. Their carriers launched wave after wave of fighters. Their larger vessels used heavy cannons that punched through shields with brutal force. Within hours, the Conqueror fleet was in disarray. In orbit, Alex watched the battle through feeds from his troops. He felt pride, but also sorrow, because every victory came with loss. Still, he knew that if Earth did not stand here, then Luma would be lost forever. Ira made a final attempt to break the human line. A group of Conqueror dreadnoughts surged forward to target the main human carrier. Alex ordered a counterstrike. Human bombers rushed in and released their payloads at close range. The resulting blasts shattered the dreadnoughts and sent their remains drifting into the void. With their command ships destroyed, the Conqueror forces began to retreat. Some tried to flee the system, while others surrendered. The sky over Luma slowly cleared. For the first time in many days, the sun shone through the clouds without the shadow of enemy ships. On the ground, the people of Luma emerged from hiding. They saw human soldiers standing guard and human medics helping the injured. Many wept in relief. They had believed the Conqueror lies that no one would come. Now they knew that belief had been wrong. Alex met with the remaining Luma leaders in a damaged hall. Through translators, they shared stories and plans. Earth promised to help rebuild and to protect Luma from future threats. The Luma people, in turn, offered their friendship and their gratitude. Ira was captured and taken into custody. When asked why the Conquerors had believed no one would come, Ira said that in all their history, no world had ever been saved by an outside force. Alex replied that history was about to change. As days passed, the human fleet remained in orbit to ensure peace. Engineers helped restore power and water. Farmers shared seeds. Teachers shared knowledge. Luma slowly began to heal. For the soldiers of Earth, the mission was not about glory. It was about proving that even in a vast and often cruel universe, someone would answer a call for help. Alex stood on a hill overlooking a rebuilt city and watched children of Luma play. Among the ruins that were turning back into homes, he felt tired but also fulfilled. He knew that this would not be the last world to need help. Yet he also knew that Earth would keep showing up. Far away, other species would hear of what happened at Luma. They would tell stories of how a small, gentle world was saved by soldiers who fell from the sky. They would speak of humans not as conquerors, but as defenders. In the end, that was what mattered. The universe was wide and dangerous, but it was not without hope. Because somewhere among the stars there was a world called Earth, whose people believed that no one should face darkness alone.